All right, so you get the idea that obviously it works. Then you think, well, maybe it could work for me.
Yeah.
What changes? Because a lot of people have that thought. I can go out on my own. I can use what I've learned this seminar and start my own business. But not a whole lot of people follow through and actually do it.
Yeah.
What made you do it?
I think at the time, the same boss was teaching us how to buy a lot of negatively geared property, and I was primarily learning from him, because I always say get the best mentors to people, because that's what the experts tell you. It's like get the best mentors, and he was the best mentor I could find at the time, who had a good strategy, but his strategy was a lot of negative gearing. And when the market slumped, thanks to the collapse in the property market, the financial disaster, all of the negatively geared people and some of the particular deals that he encouraged us to buy were looking pretty bad. So my motivation was, I had $1 million worth of debt and only $500,000 property portfolio. So it virtually halved within a short period of time. So I had the motivation of credit card bills, mortgage statements, phone calls, all of these things calling me saying, you're in arrears, and being on the brink of bankruptcy. I had big motivation. So when I was looking at what do I need to do, for me it was just like, I have to do it. I've got no other choice.
This is interesting because you bring up a point which is very common among people who I find are successful, especially online, but probably offline as well. But there's this common thread of it gets to a pain level where you think, I have to do this.
Yeah.
And until then you play, but you don't get serious. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very subtle difference, but it's just that little bit of difference, that extra step in action, because the smallest little action you take on the internet, the big success you can have, that one little thing, and people are so close to success, but they give up oftentimes before they get there.
So what about your first sale? Because I imagine you go out on your own, or maybe I think you were still at work and doing this on the side, which is a very smart way to do it.
Yeah.
When did you make your first sale? How did it feel?
Look, I think besides my boss, who I took your strategy, I wrote an ebook for him and did all that. We made money for him, and I was excited. And then when I took like 8 weeks holidays, because I was a contractor, and I said I'm going to build the business in that 8 weeks. And I think if you remember, I did I went to my church and I said I'm going to make money for my church, and I applied the internet marketing strategies there, and we made $30,000 in 30 days. And it was good because we're trying to build a brand new church in our community to help a lot of the kids get off the streets and stop dealing drugs and create a bit of a space for them. So that was really, really good. In 30 days I did that. So out of that, one of the things you talk about was how easy it is to create a product. So I created a product about how to make money for churches and charities. And I remember talking to you, and I said, how do I get this out there? And you said, there's this new thing called webinars. Why don't you try it out? And I said, what's a webinar? And you said, go to GoToWebinar and check it out. So I was like, okay, well, if Brett says go to GoToWebinar, I'll go to GoTo. I went to GoToWebinar and I set up a webinar. The title, I went, how to make money for your church, and description, and I set it up for a Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember the day. And I ran my first webinar December the 10th, 2008, and in 60 minutes, at the end of that, there was 15 people on the webinar, and within 60 minutes I had $594 in the bank, and I was sitting there just, wow, that was, in 60 minutes I was making, 3/4 of my wage, so I was blown away, and I thought, now I just need to do this more and every day, and that's where...
Interesting, because you did it for your employer, and you did it for your church, and only after that, once you really refined, you thought, okay, now I can do it for myself.
I really believed at that point, what I mean?
Interesting,
Yeah.
And so now, like, for you to make $10,000 on a webinar, which might take you 90 minutes, is actually a common occurrence. I know you make even more than that, but I sort of say 10,000 because for the average person, I think you actually told me you've actually made $30,000 on one webinar.
Oh, 100,000 on
100,000.
Yeah.
So I guess for the average person, they're thinking, well, hold on, that's my wage, or that's double my wage in just one presentation.
Yeah.
Is that an amazing journey for you? It certainly sounds, from 2008 to now, it sounds amazing. How has it been from your side?